You are listening to the Lose Weight for the Last Time podcast with Laura Conley. That's me. And you guys, this might go down in history as my favorite podcast ever recorded. We have Andy and Laura here today. I'll give you guys an introduction to them in a second, but our next cohort is starting this week. So go to lauraconley.com if you want to get a spot in the Yummy Mummy experience where we teach you how to lose weight for the last time, and it is guaranteed. So if 2025 is your year, and it should be, then go to lauraconley.com and get yourself a spot in that cohort. So without further ado, I want to welcome Laura and Andy. Laura is one of my clients who I just freaking adore. And actually, she's a part of our support squad now. She is a hype girl. So she helps us to create an amazing experience for the Yummy Mummies once they come inside. And her husband, Andy, is here with us. And I'll have you guys introduce yourselves in a second. But what I have to say is they approached me. They were like, Laura, how about you have us on the podcast so the husbands and the wives can hear what a transformation it is for not only the individual, but also like the whole family. So introduce yourselves to us, you guys. Tell us like where you live, how many kids you have. Just give us a little spiel.
I'm Andy. So I work full-time technology, digital innovation type space, play hockey, coach hockey. We're pretty much a hockey family. So we're very busy on the road a lot, running around and just trying to live our best lives and raise two wild and crazy kids.
Oh my gosh, amazing. It's so awesome. He did a good job, didn't he, Laura?
Summed it right up.
Okay, so tell us how this idea was born. Like you tell me in your own words how this idea for you guys to come on the podcast was born. We were saying a little bit before we hit record.
It's so hard for me to see the changes in myself because I'm the person changing. And so when he points things out, I'm like, oh my God, we need to like tell Laura this, or we need like the husbands to know the situation because like you said in the intro, it affects the whole family. So yeah. I was like, he's good with words and like can point out the things I'm forgetting. And so I just thought it'd be like a fun conversation to have for, like you said, other couples to really hear like what it's about.
Yeah, totally. So, okay. Did you want to say anything, Andy?
I was just because I feel fortunate about what this has done for Laura and how it's changed our lives. And it's just awesome to have her be a part of it and talk about this. It's part of her daily routine, right? Just the way she carries herself and is intentional throughout the day and starting her day off. So I think it's just important to show how valuable this work is.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. What was the conversation like for you guys at the beginning? Like Laura, when you were deciding whether or not to sign up, what did that look like? Because for most families, it is a conversation. Sometimes the wives just like pull the trigger and ask for forgiveness later. But tell us a little bit about that.
I remember like I had been listening to your podcast for a while, but knew I wasn't going to be able to make that investment like without talking to Andy. So I'll let you chime in a minute because all I really remember, I kind of blacked out. It's kind of just like, I really want to do this and I trust this process and I really believe in this woman that I've been listening to and I feel like it's really going to work. And what was your...
Yeah, so I mean, I listened to some of the podcasts and I always hear her getting ready in the morning, listen, like she's listening to the podcast. So I hear snippets of it, right? And I'm like, oh, this is good. This is good stuff, right? And then she approaches me about joining the program. And I was really skeptical at first because tried different things in the past. And it hasn't all like come together as well as would have hoped, right? And we have kind of a rule that we talk about. If we spend over $100 that we need to have a conversation about it. So I can't remember if this conversation was like just one day or over like a week. And because we usually like to take some time to really think about it. Anytime we're investing money or time into something, we want to be intentional. And they just over time, she talked about it being more of like, it's like a holistic approach to like mental and physical health, right? It's not just like a miracle cure, right? And so like, that's kind of where I felt like this was something different. And I could tell that she was real passionate about just listening to the podcast in general and a lot of the recommendations that you give there. So I can't remember again if it was like a day or if it was a few days. But
like now that you say that, because I was like nervous too to even like I had a little bit of lack and like, is this going to work for me? And so I was kind of coming to him for reassurance, like, no, hon, you can try this. Let's see. And so I wasn't even fully confident, but I knew I just had this feeling I really wanted to do it. And so I feel like it did take a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's funny is later when she started talking about the master's program, I just said, yeah, of course. Like, what are you thinking? Like, why is that even
This is not a question. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Oh,
Where she was kind of on the opposite side, like just kind of wondering. And I'm like, absolutely worth it.
That's so cool. So what do you guys think pushed you over the edge with the initial investment for the Yummy Mummy experience? And for my audience, you guys, the Yummy Mummy experience is the 6-month, like it's like my flagship signature program. It teaches you how to lose weight through coaching and mindset and emotional intelligence and biology, hormones, accountability, all that good stuff. And then after the 6 months, you can do a master's program, which teaches you how to use all the tools we just used for weight loss and apply them to other areas of your life. So just for a little bit of context, but take me back to those couple of days. Like, what pushed you over the edge? Like, what made you guys say yes ultimately?
I'd say the money back guarantee was huge. And I think we put it in perspective of like all the money we've spent on other stuff that has not worked. Like, let's put it towards this. And then if it doesn't work, we'll get our money back.
Yeah.
So that was big. And then just, I mean, obviously we have a credit card where we get cash back. So like, that was like fine.
I didn't take that into account. That wasn't.
No, just me. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the money back guarantee. Yeah. I mean, that's why I have it, because to your point, you guys were just speaking to like, yeah, we were skeptical, and you should be skeptical, right? Like you don't want to just overinvest without really thinking about it, because it is an investment in time and in money. I mean, the ROI is clearly there. Like, I'm obviously biased, but I just want to normalize, like, it is something that can cause you to pause, because we have tried all of the freaking things and they haven't worked. So it's like, why is this going to work? Like, we are very skeptical, like we're very suspicious, and that makes sense. So I think you guys were really super smart, and that's really why I have the money back guarantee. It's just to help people take that leap of faith, because it really is a leap of faith. Like, you aren't going to believe when you click the purchase button. Like, you're not. You have to just take that first baby step.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people out there who may be well-meaning but don't actually know how to do this very well. And I, like I said, listening to your podcast for so long, I like felt like we were already friends. And I was like, I trusted you as a person and a human and a businesswoman. And I mean, reading the testimonials from other people was helpful too, but knowing like, it's not just a scam, you know, like.
Yeah, totally. Like, who is this lady on the internet?
Right. Yeah. There's lots of them out there.
Yeah.
But I think your approach is just very different, right? Like when we first were together, we had a personal trainer for a little bit, and that didn't really do all that much. Yeah, it helped because we had to go drive somewhere and we were paying money that we like, no, we're not missing today. We are going to the gym and we are going to exercise, but we didn't take into account like food and just like mental health and all that. It was more just like, oh, if we go to the gym, we're definitely going to get the bodies we want and the results we want. And then whether it's like the Weight Watchers or any other kind of those different diets or programs, this was different. And it spoke to me differently because I'm kind of like in the leadership area. And when I hear some of the terms that you use and the way you speak, it's like more of a holistic approach instead of just like a one magic bullet for this one symptom that we have.
You're like, she's funny and smart. Oh,
so weird. And people say that all the time. My friend Nicole the other day, she was like, yeah, it was like really surprising for me when I learned that you are really smart. And I was like, I don't know if I just take that as a compliment or like a dig. I don't know. But I was like, I did say to her, I was like, I should probably have more people on my podcast telling the audience that I'm not a dingbat. But anyway, you'll eventually figure that out.
right.
Okay, so Andy, tell us a little bit about how Laura was before the Yummy Mummy experience and how she is now.
I promise I won't get mad. Just lay it out.
I mean, I did.
You don't have to sugarcoat it. Just
I did marry her, right? So like
she wasn't that bad,
right? Bad. So yeah, I don't like we. I feel like standard American, like we're busy, right? So we're on the move. Like we're just kind of like getting by 40 hours a week or more each. Like, so we're very busy and trying to do the best we could. But I'd say like overall, we weren't super intentional with our days. And that's changed a lot in this program. And it's helped me too, because I see her, I mentioned being more intentional. Like we used to nap a little bit more, like when the kids were like, like when we had just one kid, right? When you could actually sneak in a nap here or there. So when we first met, before kids, might have napped a little bit and might have.
Oh, come on, Andy. Oh my God. Andy, like he's pulling like the Midwest on me. Okay, Laura, what would he say? Laura,
okay, she had daily naps. She took daily naps.
So problem. Where's the nap?
It was like Saturday, Sunday, like 2:00 in the afternoon.
I didn't want to do anything. Yeah. I was never up for anything.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like you were just napping, like because I take naps and I'm proud of myself.
Okay, yeah.
Like how was my attitude?
Shit.
Yeah, I guess like I'm a little more adventurous. Like I want to go rock climbing. I want to go do this kind of stuff, and like that wasn't there with Laura previously. Not that
I just wasn't.
You weren't up for anything.
Exactly. I was like, the answer's no. I just want to lay here all day.
Yeah. Okay. So you were like lifeless. No, I'm just kidding. That's
I was just pretty. I was cranky too. I was cranky.
A little crankier. Yeah. But I'm saying, again, I married her. Remember?
I know. Andy is so nice. Okay, this is so good. You guys were like, I'm like freaking East Coast. I'm like, you suck because of this, this, and this, and this. So, and my husband's super blunt too. I'm like, how did I get the reputation as being the blunt one? Like, you're so blunt. Anyways, my point is we gotta like unearth some more shit from Laura's past. So, Laura, how would you describe pre-yummy mummy Laura?
I'm just thinking, even like in the more recent past, like after kids, it was like going through the motions, just getting, quote unquote, getting through the day.
Yeah, well said.
Did not have like fun until maybe the weekend. I would try to perk it up a little bit, but it was very
wake up.
Yeah, just blah. I don't know. I mean,
not a lot of impulsiveness, I would say. Like she likes to do things, but like we can't do it. We can't have fun until the dishes are done, right? So
a little bit of like OCD happening, where like I'd have to get my to-do list done before we could do anything fun or I could relax.
That's so interesting.
Just the rigidity and like
yeah,
much more rigid.
I was not as energetic overall.
Yeah.
Right. So by the time 9:00 hit and we got all our chores done, then it's like, okay, time to go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. You have no energy left then at that point. Okay. So I bet Andy will do well with this question. What is she like now? Like, how would you say she is post Yummy Mummy? Like, what has changed? What have you noticed?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the energy level's way up. I mean, she's hot. I don't know. We're like, she was hot prior. I don't, again, but like she is like,
now she's like really hot.
Like really hot. Like, I don't know. Like, I got some work to do. Like, I got to.
We got the delicious daddy for you, Andy. Don't worry. You can sign up for that next year.
But yeah, so it's definitely encouraging me, certainly. It's just encouraging just watching. Like, she's not even trying to encourage it. It's just happening because I see the work that she's doing. She's waking up in many cases, like before I'm up, and she gets up before the kids get up and doing her homework right in the morning, right? Setting the day, setting the intentions for the day. And that's huge because then you're starting the day on a positive note. Like we get before the kids start demanding things, because that's what they do all day. Kids demand our attention. And she gets ahead of that. And like, so then I'm up typically before as well. So like we're both up before the kids are up. So we usually have a little bit of adult conversation time. And like, we're just, the energy level is much higher. So we're able to accomplish more and have more fun as a family. And children are children, right? So it brings some high anxiety in the house at times. And I feel like ever since this experience, she has calmed down and been able to take deep breaths before addressing issues with the kids, which helps both of us because we try to tag team it. When one of us is feeling better, like we'll handle any situations that the kids are bringing forward and try to address them in a calm manner. And I feel like we've been able to do that a lot better now because we're we feel better overall. So we're able to take that second and really put things in perspective before we address issues with the kids.
Yeah, you can respond versus react. And it's such a practice. But if you get ahead of it at the beginning of the day, it's easier to do. It's not always easy, but yeah, it's definitely easier. Oh, I love that. That's so good.
I'd say too, with the kids, I've been a lot more playful.
Yeah.
I'm very task oriented. And so I would always be doing chores in the kitchen, cleaning, prepping food, whatever. And like kind of just ignoring this half of the house, the living room, the kids playing. And now I'm like engaging with them more. And it was like this last summer, Violet, our 12-year-old, even mentioned like, Mom, you're just like talking more. You're more like funny and energetic, and I'm being more present because my mind is clutter free, less clutter and chatter about all the stupid stuff that I used to let it take over. And like, so I'm just more present, I feel like, in most situations now.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And that's like all our kids want. Like you guys were speaking to that. Like they demand our attention. Like that's how we show them love. And that is all that they want is our attention. So freaking good job, because what a gift you're giving your children. Like seriously. And it's so hard in this day and age where like our attention is like a commodity. So it's like if we can remove the food chatter and like the body drama, it does allow us to be so much more present in the things that like really actually matter. I think that's so well said.
You mentioned the food chatter, because I wasn't even thinking about the food piece. And like it hasn't been an issue lately, but like everything we did in the past had to be like, we had to make sure we knew what we were eating for lunch or breakfast, lunch, dinner. There had to be a plan around it, right? Like we couldn't just go somewhere without knowing where that next meal, when that was happening, or and that just killed a lot of the I'm trying to let's just go have fun and we'll figure it out late. Like we don't need to eat at noon, or we don't need to eat at 6 p.m. Like
kind of like when you have a newborn and you have to schedule around like nursing and naps. That was me with food. Like we can't be out of the house for too long, so I'm gonna have to eat.
And what was the root of that? Like, why were you doing that?
I think there's a few different things. So number one, I believe, is my hunger hormones were out of whack. And because of what I was eating, they were out of whack. But like, I would eat breakfast and like 2 hours later be like ravenous. So that, but then also even the mental piece of it, like just the scarcity mentality of like, I don't know if I'm going to get something that like, I don't know where that came from, but just really worried about, I wanted to be able to, I don't want to have to wait. Like the second I'm hungry, I want to be able to eat. And now I'm like learning, and because my body has changed, like my body can wait a second. It's not an emergency if I'm hungry. So that's been like calming, and I don't have like the food anxiety anymore.
Yeah. And what's frustrating for me is like I'll go for a 13-mile run and won't even bring water with me. Like I'll just go and I'm just like, whatever happens, like there's probably a drink
figure it out
there somewhere.
Yeah, it's like self-trust, actually. It's like, I trust that I'll be able to figure it out whatever arises. Yeah. I know for me, like I used to do that too. And it's like, because I was afraid if I got hungry, then I would like eat my face off as if I wasn't the one in control.
I was like afraid to feel hunger.
Yeah, that's so good. And now are you afraid to feel hungry?
No, I actually like that feeling. I'm like, oh, that feels good. Like, and I trust myself not to go crazy when I do get food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you like that feeling, do you think?
It's a good question. It's like, this is how your body's supposed to function. You're supposed to get hungry before you eat. You're not supposed to just freaking eat because you want to eat.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so good. Yeah, it's like you're in relationship with your body. You guys are like communicating effectively and lovingly.
I'm actually in tune and listening to it and not just feeding it because it's a certain time or because I'm emotionally hungry.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so before we hit record, you guys, we were debating whether or not to talk about intimacy in the marriage and whether or not there's been an impact there. So what would you guys say to that?
Honey?
Who's going to ask me that question? Yeah.
They're blushing. They're both blushing.
Well, speaking just on the topic of being more intentional, in planning and knowing what's important. We have stepped up the game as far as being more intimate and even just affection. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like he always used to say, like, you're just not very affectionate, like, naturally. Like, I was with the kids, but not like with him. And I think part of it was because I'm like, oh, I'm gross. Don't freaking touch me. You know,
Yeah.
I just had this like not worthy feeling. And he is
Oh.
affectionate. And so that's gotten a lot better. Like, I'm not just like swatting him away.
Yeah, I can identify with that. I'd be like running away from my husband in the kitchen because I knew because my husband's really affectionate too, and I'd be like, oh God, he's gonna like touch me in a spot that like I don't feel good about, and then I'm gonna have to like feel shame or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So that's gotten better, and I initiate like the affection sometimes. Like, I'll go snuggle on the couch, and that also comes back to like the mindset of chores don't have to be done for me to go sit on the couch with my husband. Like, I can just freaking go sit and snuggle and like rub his feet or something. Like, it's just that part's gotten better, which then.
When have you been rubbing my feet?
I did like 4 weeks ago.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's me putting my feet in your.
Yeah, that's me doing. I'm doing a chore.
It's code for something else, you guys.
That's what I feel. I'll allow it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so that's been because just like the yummy mummy method, like you always say, can be applied to like any area in life. So like, what are your compelling reasons? And what's your protocol? So like, my compelling reason, I want more connection with my husband. What's our protocol? Let's step it up. The number of times that this happens, step it up.
Step it up.
Exactly.
Lots of foot rubs. Lots of foot rubs. Yeah, well, it's so good. And it's true. It's like different people feel connected through different ways. And like dudes feel connected like the more they're having sex. Like they just most dudes do, right? And women too. Right. But I do think it's like an important thing to call out because it is a huge piece of marriage for a lot of us. And it is something that we can, whether it's conscious or not, block from our relationships and our marriages. So I do think as like silly as we're being, like I do actually think this is like a really important topic and a really important upgrade that you could expect if you do decide to like heal your relationship with your body and decide to weigh what you want to weigh. So I think I like, yes, we're being like funny and like we're blushing and whatever, but I do think it's important. If I didn't think it was important, I wouldn't have brought it up. So I appreciate you guys going there with me.
That's good.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, to spice it up a little bit more, I would say it's not just the amount of the frequency, it's also the quality of the foot rubs.
Sometimes it's like shiatsu. Sometimes it's like a Thai massage. Sometimes it's deep tissue. Okay. Amazing. Okay. What would you guys tell the husbands or the partners? Like, so say somebody out there is like, Megan P wants to sign up for the Yummy Mummy. She's desperate. She's been listening to the podcast. Like, she wants this so badly. She has an inkling like this will be the thing that's different. What advice would you give to her, and what advice would you give to her husband or partner in making this decision?
Yeah, I think one thing is certainly for her to showcase what changes have been made just by listening to some of the advice. Because I think that's what helped me, because I listened to a little bit of it and I saw what she was making, some adjustments here and there. And then for the husband to listen to it a little bit as well and see that there's more of that holistic approach, and just have a good conversation about like what it means and what they're willing to sacrifice in other areas if that's part of the deal, right? If we need to sacrifice something to make this experience work, right? Because it's a time investment as well. Yeah. So just having a good conversation about what is needed to make it be successful, because you got to go all in, right? Like Laura from the beginning was all in once she signed up.
Totally. So good.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I've been in and out of therapy for years too. And I was not in therapy right before YMX, but was not in a great place mentally anyway. And so it's kind of a 2-for-1. Like, it's not just weight loss. It literally like more like 1,000,000 for one. It's so many things. Like, the thought model alone has been game changing as far as like how I treat Andy. the manual work that we do too has been really big. I'm like, just other people are going to do what they're going to do. But like, why do I have to get so mad about that? Like, I can't even explain how that's really brought me so far. So it's just like Andy keeps saying, it's such a holistic approach and it covers so much more than just weight loss, but you don't really understand that until you're like in it and doing it.
That's why it works. It's really like the weight loss is like the byproduct of doing the root work. I mean, yes, we actually like are working on your hunger hormones and we're getting nitty gritty with all of that. And there is a plan that's custom to you, of course. But my point is that like, that's why it hasn't worked in the past, is because the past was just full of like Band-Aids and things that were treating like one individual symptom. And this really does treat the whole entire problem. And then it's impossible for the rest of your life not to improve.
Yeah. Like my brain really has been rewired. And I mean, it's a daily practice. Like Andy said, every morning I'm journaling to get my mind right and just remember what my intentions are, what my plan is, what I'm doing, but in a way that makes me feel more calm. Like some people might think of that as like rigid or like controlling, but it's actually the opposite because it's very freeing to know I created my day. I created how I want this day to look.
It's like going from being controlling to like feeling in control.
Oh my God, exactly. I couldn't have said that better. That's exactly it. Because I am we've talked about this, a little bit of a control freak.
Yeah, me too. I mean, not really anymore, but that's how I used to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I still have that good part of me. Like the good parts of that are still there.
Yes.
But I'm so much softer and just relaxed in general. Like more go with the flow. And even just like at work and with like managing the hockey team, I'm just more like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It puts a lot of things into perspective on like what like really truly matters, I think. Okay, so like what if the husbands aren't going to listen to the podcast? Like I do think that there are some people that are like podcast listeners and then there's some people that aren't podcast listeners. So I think it's great advice, especially like this podcast or the husband panel podcast, which is from like I think a year or two ago. Those are great resources. Then there's the husbands that or the partners that are just like not going to listen to a podcast and just want to be sold in one conversation. So like what kind of tidbit in one sentence would you tell them about like your personal experience having gone all in on this? I mean, both of you, right? Because it is, again, it's a mutual decision.
I would almost say something like, can you just let me try? Can you just give me this chance?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, there is the money back guarantee. But
yeah, that's what I was going to say too. You guys, like that was a huge part for you guys.
Right.
Obviously.
Like, but like, let me just do this and see what happened. Like, I know I've tried other things in the past, but I really feel in my heart this is different. And if you just like support me, you don't even have to be involved. Just like support me and know I'm doing this. Like, let's just see.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Let's just see. Yeah.
And I think like having like a pros and cons list is always helpful. I always like those. What are the benefits? What are the, what's the worst case scenario if this doesn't work out, right? Like what's the best case scenario if it does? And I think even talking about like how different the approach is compared to other things individuals may have tried in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember after like our first kickoff call, I don't remember if you saw me on the Zoom or not, but like now he walks by, he's like, I just love looking at your face every time you're on these calls because you're just like so happy. Yeah. And like after the first call, I was like almost in tears because I was like, oh my God, like I found my people. Like Andy doesn't want to hear anymore about my freaking weight loss struggle. And he doesn't have that struggle. Like,
yeah.
And my friends don't necessarily want to hear about it either. Like, but these women actually get it. We have the same problems. We want the same things. I feel heard, seen, not judged. That was the biggest thing, was like, I felt so comforted. Like, oh my God, I finally have an outlet for this shit, because I was so sick of just like ruminating on the same thing every damn day, like not getting anywhere, but constantly trying.
Yeah. Oh, so I had my husband on the podcast like a long time ago. I think I should have him on the podcast again. You guys, Laura just came to VIP day for the Yummy Mummy Masters Retreat. We had a VIP day. and we had how are you married to her, a happy hour with my husband, and they got to ask him any questions. And he is not from the Midwest. He was very unfiltered. I was like, geez, babe. I mean, it was great. I mean, I don't care. Everybody knows I'm an open book too. But what was I going to say about that? Shoot, I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh, when he was on my podcast, like, wait, this was like almost 4 years ago now, I think. He was like, I just love that I don't have to listen to this anymore. Like, I just love that I don't have to hear about like how you're going to like go on keto or like, I just love that like this isn't a topic of conversation anymore. Cause like, honestly, it was boring for me.
Yeah. A lot more fun things to talk about now.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. Yeah, that's so cool. And I think too, what you guys were also alluding to at the beginning, like so many of us are going to spend the money on this problem anyways, eventually over the course of the next 10 or 20 years, 30 years. Like it's not, the problem isn't going away unless you decide to do something different. And it's like, we're going to spend the money anyways without actually solving it. So I do think that's been helpful too for people to like actually look at it, like how much have we spent on this problem without solving it and how much will we continue to spend, right? It's like if nothing changes. Okay, any closing remarks or things that you guys want to say before we end?
I'll just say, just to what you were speaking to, like that's why the master's program investment was such a no-brainer, because I saw 6 months of just like her being ecstatic every time she joins the meetings and just improving every single time she gets off the calls and just being so excited about it and just, you know, improving the whole 6 months. That I'm so glad that we took that leap in the beginning, because it was a little bit of a leap of blind faith in the beginning, but now it's just like, just go for it. Like go, and go do the retreat. You seem like you're having so much fun. Like you love, like when she said she found her people, right? And so she had a blast.
Like when I brought up masters, he was like, there was no hesitation whatsoever, which shocked me because I was like, I don't know. Like, we've already invested in those 6 months. And he's like, no, you're doing it. Like this has been amazing. And the learning and progress from just joining masters has been huge too. It's like, geez, I didn't even know I could get more out of this, but it's happening. Like shit keeps coming.
Yeah, we're never done. We're never done.
We're never
Sometimes
done.
I'm annoyed. I'm like, can't we just be done? But we're just never done. There's always going to be more opportunities for growth.
It's a constant learning, but it's not a draining kind of learning.
Yeah.
It's not like textbook type learning. It's like literally evolving. Like I'm always elevating and growing in ways I didn't even know I needed to grow in. And it's like, it's freaking just so fun to like have that in my life. And for the retreat, I was like kind of worried about that too. And he was on board and that was amazing. And he made it work with single parenting it for those few days. So I was very grateful.
That's so cool. How did you muster up the courage? Because it sounds like you were like a little nervy, right? Like, so these 3 different times, how did you muster up the courage to like approach the conversation or start the conversation?
I remember getting like the information about like the master stuff and was like, God, that sounds amazing, but it almost sounds too good to be true. Like, I don't know if Andy will be on board. And I feel like it was like over holidays or something. I don't remember. We were like home a lot more. I just remember being more like relaxed around that time. And I just said, we probably can't. I think I said something like, it's probably like, I know, but can we think about it? Can we look into this? And he was like, yeah, sign up today. I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
So I think I did come at that one more, nervy and a little like insecure about that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get that you just spent money on another program, 3 or 6 or whatever amount of months it was. And I always say too, like the master's is totally optional. Like you get every tool that you need inside the Yummy Mummy experience. The Yummy Mummy Masters is really born from my clients being like, will you please make us something? Because we want to keep going. We want to keep doing this evolution. We want to keep like working on ourselves. It actually is fun. We actually do look forward to it.
Exactly. You can get everything out of Yummy Mummy like the 6 months. I didn't want to get rid of, I didn't want to go without it. I could have, but I didn't want to. I wanted my sisters. Like I wanted this group. Like I was like, this can't, it's like a breakup. But so
I
it's
need
like
my
the
people.
community. Yeah, the community part really got me.
Yeah, the community freaks people out at the beginning, and then it ends up being like everybody's favorite. It really becomes a sisterhood.
Yeah, and you don't even have to be like all in on the whole community thing, but sometimes you just like connect with one or two people, and it can just be, you can chat with them if you want. Like, it's however
That's
big
so
or
right.
small you want to make it.
Yeah, that's so true. Thank you guys so much. This was so fun. What a treat and a half. I love you guys so much. We're going to have Andy inside the delicious daddy.
Love it.
All right, you guys. So for those of you that are on the fence, go to lauraconley.com. Maybe this is your sign to get into the January cohort. We start on the 21st and doors officially close on January 28th. So get your booty in there. And I love you guys all so much. Thank you guys again for being here from the bottom of my heart. I always say to the Yummy Mummies, I couldn't do this alone, and I wouldn't want to do it alone. It makes it so much more fun. All right, you guys, have the best week ever. Bye.